right, looks like it's 2:01 here, so I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. The idea here is this is our Patheon guided demo. So the idea is there's a good chance you may not have seen a demo of Patheon yet and just want to get an idea of what it looks and feels like. So I'm going to take you through the different pieces of Patheon and obviously allow you to ask some questions. So you'll see that in the bottom of your screen, there should be a Q&A button. You're going to want to use that to ask questions. You're not going to want to hit the chat button, but use that Q&A to plug in any questions you might have or anything you may want to see with Patheon, and I'll do my best to answer that. As we're moving along here, feel free to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer those during the presentation and then at the end as well. If I don't have an answer for your question, I'll do my best to go get that answer, and we will have these summarized and sent out hopefully by the end of the week or early next week, as well as the recording of this demonstration. If you have any technical difficulties, use that Q&A button as well. So just put a note in there, and I have someone on our team who's monitoring that. They will jump in and try to assist you. I know that if you minimize Zoom and then reopen it, it sometimes helps if you're having any technical difficulties. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Tony Shaheen. I previously was the product marketing manager here at DRB, focused on Patheon. I've recently switched into the regional sales manager position, covering a good part of the northwest of the US and the west part of Canada. So just wrapping up a webinar here to help educate our customers on Patheon and hopefully help get you confident in how you can help run your business. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the web browser up here on my screen. So you should be able to see what we call the Patheon portal. So Patheon, it was redesigned on a new architecture. The idea was we want to make this something that's scalable, easy for our customers to manage, and bring it onto a platform that's in the 21st century. So rather than having to call into your point of sale provider, remoting into different sites, getting into the database to change things, we wanted to make it a modern, user-friendly interface. And so we break Patheon down into a couple pieces. And the first part here is going to be the Patheon portal. So what I have on my screen here is your management of your wash. This is what you as an owner, site manager, general manager would really have access to. You're going to see things like where you can manage your sites. So you can view the hours, you can change when it opens and closes and everything kicks on and kicks off. You're going to be able to see your mobile application, which we'll talk about towards the end. You're going to be able to set your services that are kicked off in the tunnel. You're going to be able to configure your products, your plans, your discounts, even create your own coupon codes. So these would be codes for promotions that you might be running. This is where you would add your employees, manage their access to the system. So you could give them different security levels. This is where you would assign a PIN for them so that they could access the XPT kiosk in the lane or the point of sale. So we have the ability to assign a barcode to an employee, and what they can do is they can have that on a card. You could have that printed for them, and then they can go up to an XPT, scan it, and it would immediately log them in, and you could have it require a PIN so that there's some security so that they can resolve issues in the lane faster. You have the ability to view customers. This is where we could add notes. So if a customer calls in and they're having some kind of issue, you could click on their name and actually add a note that would pop up at the tunnel or at the point of sale when they come into the wash so that your employees could service them better. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how we can create a plan. Traditionally, many point of sale offerings allow you to add a plan, right? So if I want to try a new plan, I want to try to gain some new business. You may have to call in. You may need their help in dispersing the screens to the XPTs, the kiosks that your customers interact with. We actually give you the ability to do that yourself. And it's really important because sometimes it can take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks for some folks to turn this around. And sometimes it might not even be correct. And so ideally, you want to be able to do this yourself. You want to be able to test it out. You can do this without even making it active. So if you want to test out a new theory, you can do that without deploying it to a site and save it for later when you're ready to deploy. So if we want to create a new plan, we can hit add plan. And what we've done is we've based Patheon on wizard technology. So, traditionally, if you're not from the wash industry, this could be pretty intimidating because, you may not know the difference between time-based or unit-based, or you may not know what you want to offer. So what we've done is we've partnered with a company called Pendo. And what they allow us to do is a couple of things. So the first is you'll see this little orange circle in the bottom right of the screen. This allows us to communicate with our customers. So we can put out new announcements when there are new updates. You can see your Patheon support information. This gives you access to training videos, walkthroughs. We even have what's called a Patheon binder. That's just kind of your overview of how to use the point of sale. So a reference for maybe new employees. And then ability to share some feedback. And so the other thing that's nice is you'll see these eyes, these little information buttons, and you'll see this throughout creating items in Patheon. And what these do is they give you information on every item. So if you're not sure what a time-based unit is, you can read about it, or a unit-based. If you're not sure if you want to offer, an automatic reload or not, it will tell you about that. So in this case, we're going to set up a time-based plan that's going to automatically reload. And what you'll see is that there are red boxes around the items that are required. And what'll happen is this will guide you through setting up your plan. So you'll see across the top what step you're on. You'll know what information is required. So we're going to call this Tony's Unlimited Plan. We can give it a description, right? So if we want to know what this plan is in our system when we're looking at it, we can add that type of information. This wouldn't be customer facing. This would just be internal facing. We can even add promotional text, and we can have that show up on the mobile app. And so a good example is if you're trying to drive business to sign up at the EWA, the mobile version, not on site, you may want to offer a promotion that's only for folks that sign up that way so that we can drive more offsite signing up. Wait a minute. To look at that. So I have a question there. I'm going to have to get an answer for you there, Aaron, and send that out afterwards. But if I want to have that promotional text show up in the app, I can put this here. So, hey, sign up here and we will get you, you will get the first month for $9.99. It might be a different promotion than what you run on site. Patheon runs in periods, which are months. So we have some folks that want to do 3-month plans, 12-month plans for the price of 11, different options here. So in this case, we'll just do 1 month. We can even set period wash limits. And so the way I see folks using this is we may have our standard unlimited plans, but we have some that want to offer a budget plan. So it'd be a 1 month, maybe at a discount price, but you only can wash, 6 times in a month. And if you only washed 4 times, you could allow those to roll over to the next month. You can even set daily wash limits. So if you're concerned with folks maybe washing 7-8 times in a day, you could set those limits. I don't see this getting touched as much, but I do see people using this as the opportunity to offer more of a budget package. With Patheon, we have the ability to offer specified reload dates on plans. If not, it's going to be the day they signed up. So if I hit yes, I could set a date if I want this plan to reload on the first every month. With anniversaries, if you sign up on any date after the 28th, so 29, 30, 31st, it automatically is going to move them to the 28th for those months that don't have those days. One of the nice items here that we have is we can set grace period. So if someone has a a card that failed, we could allow them to wash for 7 days after that, and we can continue trying to recharge their card for up to 28 days. And what that will do is it will try to recharge their card one time every night for 14 days in case there was some kind of miscommunication with the card, in case it was maybe a checking account, the debit card that needed money added to it. So it will help reduce churn by trying for 14 days or 28. Now, we do have some data around this on best practices, because I know when you get over a certain amount, I believe it's over 14, you may get charged additional processing fees. We allow you to upload your own image, so what shows up on the point of sale. So the point of sale is here, what your employees would see at the wash, so we can adjust those images, and we'll talk about that point of sale shortly. You have the ability to enter your own terms and conditions. So I'm just going to write test for here, but that's what the customers would see on the XBT or the kiosk when they're signing up. And we can even require a signature after they're signing up for a plan. You can hide plans if you want to have like an employee plan or a owner plan. So it can't be sold. So maybe there's a special promotion or discount you offer to employees, maybe even free. You could create a plan and then have it not show up on the kiosk to be purchased by a customer or the point of sale. So then you would select the wash. So you would create a wash under your wash items. And let's say my plan is going to include the better wash. And then I want it to be special. So I'm going to add something like a rust guard with that as well. So this plan, not only do you get the better wash, you also get our rust guard with that. So now you'll see this continue button's blue. I'll hit continue. We partnered with a company called Avalara. They're tax experts. And so you can actually hit yes and have the proper taxes applied per location. And it goes off of where the site is located. So if you're in multiple states, multiple municipalities, it will calculate the proper tax per site. One thing with Patheon that's pretty awesome is our multi-vehicle plans. So what we can do here is we can say, okay, this is the type of plan that's going to offer multi-vehicle discount. So your first vehicle is going to be $24.99. Your next vehicle is going to be $22.99. And then your third vehicle is going to be $19.99. And every vehicle after that would be $19.99. And I have some customers who say anything after would be free. Right? You have a lot of room to work with this. And so this would automatically calculate that. There's no head of household on something like this, which means if say I'm the main person on the account, if I cancel, no one else is affected. It just readjusts the price accordingly. Where some point of sales will actually remove everyone, and then you have to add those other sub customers back. So it's really been revamped. You can even charge a termination fee. So if you're running a really nice promotion on this, like I've seen first month free, second month $14.99. If you have some customers who think they're going to pull one over on you and cancel after the first 30 days, you can actually say, well, with a 2-month commitment. So I could charge a fee saying if they cancel within 30 days before they recharge, then we charge them the full amount, $14.99. We can allow prorated refunds or not. I have a lot of customers who do not because of the processing fees that they can save. It would basically say if my plan renews on the 15th, and I cancel on the 10th, I just wash until the 15th, and then my card goes expired instead of getting a small refund. If you decide that's something you want to offer, you would just click yes. So when we get to the end here, I have the ability to select where my plan would be shown at. So where can people buy the plan I just created? You can see I have 2 sites plus my mobile app. And then I mentioned this earlier, I could leave this as inactive. If I don't want this to show up yet, I'd leave it as inactive because maybe I was doing some testing and I don't want to lose all the work I just put in. If I want this to be deployed immediately, I would have it as active and then have all my sites selected, and then I would hit save. So once I hit save, that would push it immediately to my point of sale and to my XPT. So one of the things with Patheon are our segments. And so Patheon is built using agile development rather than waterfall. So what that means is you'll notice with Patheon that we have quite a few more updates that go out than some of our competitors and even our previous point of sale. The way we develop is instead of saying, hey, we're going to come out with this feature and you're going to see it in 11 months, we take and we break features up into smaller features that deliver value to you. So a good example of that is what you see here called segments. So if you see the segments tab on the side, I believe we deliver 14 standard segments, but then you have the ability to hit this add segment button up here and you could create your own. But we did some interviews with customers and we said, what kind of data do you want on your customers? And I describe this as taking some data and manually doing something with it today. And the idea is I can click on active members or I can click on discontinuing members. So if I click this discontinuing members, I can actually see a list of my current members that are going to be discontinuing. And what discontinuing means is I canceled my plan, but I'm still able to watch until my expiration date. And so if I've captured their phone number, which is a required field, we should at least have that, or even their email, I should be able to reach out to them and try to offer them a retention. And so we can call them since there's only a few here, or we could even export it as a CSV file, and we could plug that into a software where we could mass email folks and say, hey, consider signing back up and we'll give you 50% off the next month. And so what this is step one, I would say the groundwork of where we're going. It will take, future releases, but we see this, allowing us to pop up a specific screen on a kiosk in the lane when a customer in a certain segment shows up. So maybe one of these folks shows up. We want that to show a screen that says, hey, sign back up today and we'll give you 50% off the next month. So a retention offer. It's not there yet, but this is laying the groundwork to get to somewhere like that. And we know that this type of data can be very valuable. And so it was something we were able to deliver rather than holding this back until everything is complete. Kind of describe it as we deliver the roller skates, the skateboard, the scooter, the bicycle, then the motorcycle in phases. So from there, I'm going to go to some of our reporting. We have what we call paginated reports. And those are going to be your standard financial reports. So there's a reporting tab right up here. That's going to show things like your general sales report, your accounting type reports. They're static. What they do is they are good for choosing ranges of dates. They're good for looking at multiple sites. You can export those as well and upload those into accounting software. But where I think that we're differentiating and we're continually developing is what we call Patheon Insights. And so this is a list of dashboards that we've created, and they contain widgets. And so this is the interactive data about your sites. So for example, if I click plan analysis here, I'm going to get a whole slew of widgets that are interactive based on all of my sites, which you'll see over here based on the filters. Now, I had a filter set there. I'm going to clear that real quick. So now what you'll see is all these interactive widgets. I can see my active plans. I can see my total active vehicles. So that's telling me that I have some multi-vehicle plans. I can see plans broken down by site. And if I want to really dig into the data, I can even click on, like, for example, I want to know about this Unlimited Better. When I click that, it's going to change every other widget to match, to relate to my Unlimited Better plan. So I can go down and I can see historical data, trends, and there's probably 100 widgets through all of these. But we'd be able to see things like our sales insights, some wash insights. One that I think is really important is our planned churn. So under this planned churn dashboard, you're going to see the churn at my site. So there's involuntary churn. That means someone's plan expired, not because they called in to cancel or we terminated them as a wash, or maybe their card was declined. Voluntary is we terminated them, their plan expired, they went in and canceled, and they discontinued. So we can see what kind of churn we have. We can see the total churn. We can see our history, so we can see how we're performing. But what I really like to show is, a lot of the data is, they're data points that we've always had access to, but we're looking at different ways to display them to you and tell a story that helps you make a decision or figure out if a decision you've made was right for the business. And so one that really, I think, starts to go towards that route is this plans sold versus plans ended dashboard. And so you'll see here that in March, we had a big spike in planned sales. And I can see that I sold 2,324 plans. Well, I know that we ran a promotion, so that's why we saw that spike. So to figure out, was that an effective promotion, I can go down to March on this planned cohort analysis, and I can come all the way to April, and I can see that of those 2,324, 92.5% signed back up the following month. And of that 92.5% that signed up in March, 100% re-signed up in May. And so that tells me that was a pretty effective promotion that we ran. And if that number was more like 28%, we may want to consider running a different promotion. I had a customer who ran a $1 first month promotion, and they had a huge spike, just like you see there, but then they had a huge decrease of terminated plans, discontinued plans, because no one wanted to sign back up. And some of the research we've done shows that that big gap between the $1 and the $20 or whatever the base plan was too big of a jump, and people didn't want to commit to that. So we saw a little bit more success with like a $9.99 first. So a lot of this was how do we manage our manage our wash here, see our reports, manage some of our employees. One of the things I will bring up is with Patheon, we didn't custom build an employee clocking in and clocking out tool. What we did was we partnered with a company called Deputy. They're experts in the industry. They, when you purchase Patheon, you actually get a certain amount of license per site. So it is included with your Patheon purchase, and they have their own system. And so what that does is it allows you to offer a better experience for your employees by giving them a mobile app that they can clock in and clock out of. They can even trade shifts. What's really cool is it uses geolocation. So if I'm at home and I'm running late, I can't just pull my phone out and clock in so that I look like I was there on time. It knows where I'm at. And if you don't want to use the app, you can actually have a tablet on site where it can use even facial recognition for employees to clock in and clock out. Employees can trade shifts. It even tracks like the labor laws. So I know there's some states where once you hit a certain amount of hours of working and you're required to take a break, it'll actually notify the manager, hey, Tony needs to take a break. Really cool. And then that is included with Patheon. So this is what is called the point of sale. So the point of sale is where your employees at the wash would interact with customers. So if someone were to come into the wash and wanted to buy a single wash, they wanted to buy a plan, you wanted to apply a discount, this is where we would be able to manage customers on site. And so what we've done is we've revamped this to make it much easier for your employees to learn how to operate the system. If you look at some of the other point of sales, even our old one, it's very difficult for employees to learn quickly. They're not only learning the point of sale, they're learning, changing chemicals, selling, getting folks into the conveyor, running a wash with you. This is something that shouldn't take a week to learn. Should be pretty quick for our customers, employees to learn from what we've seen on how to make a sale, on how to go to plans and hit unlimited best. You're going to see this is similar to what we did when we created a plan. It's going to follow the wizard's steps. At the top, you'll see step by step for how we would add a new customer. So if someone walked in and said, hey, I want to sign up for a plan, you would click the customers tab, or actually, I'll go back and say that again. You'll hit the plans tab, then you'll hit unlimited best or better, whatever they want to purchase. You would hit add new customer, and then you would follow the steps here to add someone. And you'll see there's red boxes again around the items that are required. And then you would follow the steps through to add their vehicle, to add their phone number, and then take the payment. We've taken and we've broken up all of the items into different tabs so that there's not an overwhelming amount of buttons for employees to look through. So if they know they're going to sell a wash, they click the wash tab. If they know they're going to sell a plan, they click the plan tab. And there's 26 boxes here. If you ever go more than that, we can actually add folders for those folks to add more or old plans if you don't want to inactivate them. If you got to take someone out of a sale that you're in the middle of, you can place them into your active sales tab. You can see all of your sales history. This is where you would look your customer up. So if someone comes in and says, hey, I lost my license plate cover, you can look them up. So we'll look me up by my phone number. We'll click on my account and we can see all of my account information. And so I didn't have that license plate cover. So what I can do is actually hit add note and say Tony lost his license plate cover. And I can say alert at the lane, alert in the office, and alert at the tunnel entrance. So when I hit save, that note now gets added to my notes down here. And so if I come down and I hit apply plan, I'm going to put myself in the queue. And if you look at the wash queue here, you're going to see me down here on the bottom. And you're going to see that I have 2 notes, which it went so fast into the queue, I missed it. Let's do that again here. If I go back down and I hit apply plan, that again, I'm going to pop over to the queue. You'll see I'm in the queue here. And when I hit notes, I'll see that Tony lost his license plate cover. Well, I had it sitting there. I give it back to him. I uncheck the box so it doesn't alert me. But then I also noticed that I had some scratches on the front bumper. So if I tap the screen, I can actually save scratches and damage that were occurring that I saw in that vehicle when I was maybe prepping the vehicle or right when I was pulling in the tunnel. So what you'll see here is this is the tunnel loader screen. And so you can view this from inside the office, and then obviously you can view this from in the tunnel. This is a 21.5-inch touchscreen that's waterproof, sits at the front of the tunnel. We have options for auto send. So if you want the first car in the queue to just be automatically sent, we can program it to do that. Otherwise, when a car comes through and gets up to the front of the tunnel, you would just hit send car, and that would send rollers and initiate the tunnel. You can see here your kiosks out front. So one of the things that I really like is you can see how long someone's been at a specific screen. And so if you notice that someone's stuck at a screen and you don't have anyone at those kiosks, you can actually go to the hardware tab here and you can open the gate and allow them to come through, and then you can service a customer at the front of the tunnel. If they're an existing customer, you can apply a plan. If they're trying to purchase a wash, you may just want to send them through for a free wash or try to sell them on a wash, depending on how busy you are. You can go right into the office and sell them. Yeah, so I just got a question about the customer notes. Yep, so if you look, I'm in the customer information now. So if I click this and I search my name again, which it's already up, we'll just do it so it's fresh. When I click on my name, you'll see when you scroll, you actually don't have to scroll down, right here are the notes, and you can see the notes on that person. You can see that from the point of sale, and you can see that from the portal. So if I come to the portal and I click customers, and I search my phone number, of course, I've got a bunch of accounts here. So Tony Shaheen right there. You can see the notes here. So you can see this remotely from the portal. So the portal, a good point that I don't think I brought up was the portal can be accessed from anywhere. So if you have multiple sites, you're working from home, you can actually log in and manage your sites remotely as well. So you would be able to see this type of information. Good question. So back to the wash queue. We use what we call car pics as part of this. And so what happens is when a vehicle pulls up, we'll actually take a photo of the vehicle and it would pop up here. So you can see the car, a picture of the car the day they signed up and the current car so that we can check for fraud. And then the cars also start to line up here when they're in the queue. And then you can ensure that the first car that's at the front of the tunnel is the one that's next in queue so that they're getting the proper wash. With LPR, license plate recognition, we actually track plan members and non-plan members. So when someone shows up to the wash, if they decide to buy a single wash, our LPR will read that license plate, create a record for them, and by clicking on the customer tab here, we can actually see what segment they're in. So if they're in a members spot here, or I believe if I go to advanced, I can see take my filter here and see non-members, and I can actually view all my non-members. In this case, I don't have any in this demo. So what's really cool about that is we can actually save retracts. So a retract would be, this vehicle has a roof rack. So we don't want to put the top brushes down because we don't want to chance damage and it getting stuck. So when I check that, it won't allow that top brush to come down, and it will save that with that vehicle until we uncheck it. So maybe we notice the next time they came in, we said, oh, the top brush was checked, but there's no reason. We can uncheck that. And we can do that for plan members and non-plan members so that it helps reduce maybe any accidents that could occur. Someone might miss a hitch. Someone might miss the roof rack. It might be a busy day. So that's a really cool feature that we have there. So the last thing I want to show you is the mobile experience. So actually, I just got a good question about LPR. So the question was, does LPR have trouble reading certain letters on license plate? Currently, our struggles with the letter Q, so we have to put an RFID sticker. So LPR, it's not 100% accurate. It's usually in the 90s, 2s to 95, 6, depending where you're at. We do have a new license plate reader. It's called the Vega 11. It is a little more accurate, and we're seeing them closer to that 94, 95, 96. It all depends on where you're located, depends on the type of license plates they are. Some places do stack license plate. It depends on if it's a vanity plate, if it's got a cover. But one thing I will tell you with Patheon is on our staff screens, we've completely revamped those so that it's much easier to serve a customer. So if you're at that XPT and someone pulls up and the license plate is misread, you can go in and you can assign an alias. So for example, if that Q is read as an O and it happens every time, you can add an alias. In our software, the way we developed it is you can only change it by so much. So that way I'm not going in and it's not an open text field. So I can't go in and add my buddies so that they get free washes on someone else's plan. It's only going to let me add that alias. So you can go into the XPT in Patheon and assign an alias that would include if that license plate is red instead of a Q but with an O, which would help raise that accuracy with existing members, obviously, as you add them. And I know licensed LPR has a couple of different modes like aggressive mode and smart match, which can help drive that up. And our knowledge center today would be able to help with something like that. So what I want to touch on lastly here is the what we call our essential web app. It's our solution to getting a quick sign up and giving a mobile experience to your customers. What's really cool about it is this is what I would call step one. So we also offer a native app. If you're familiar with Beacon Mobile, we're not going to touch on that today, but we can build you an in-depth custom app. But this would be kind of step one. And this works really nicely with Beacon Mobile because what will happen is on your website, that's where you'll do a lot of the selling of the product. And then what would happen is if someone clicked the buy now button, it would take them to here. And this is where they would enter their phone number, go into their account, purchase. We use dual factor authentication. And so when I plug my phone number in, it's going to send me a text. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to log into my account. So if I put my code in, I will log into my account and then I'll have access to my information. Now, this is all done through a web browser. So if you've ever opened your cell phone and gone to Starbucks.com or ESPN.com, it looks like an app, it feels like an app, but it's not an app. It's run through a web browser. It's the same thing here. This gives customers very quick access to sign up, to adjust their plans, to manage their account. And so you'll see here, I'm on a computer, so this is what it would look like. But if I went into my developer tools here, and I switched it to an iPhone SE, you can see that it would resize accordingly. So this is what it would look like if I was on my mobile device. And so you can tell here that I already have an account. If I didn't, it would prompt me and say, hey, you know, fill out your information, your first name, your last name, your phone number, your email, and then it would take me through to allow me to add a vehicle. And then what you can see here is I can see all of my information. So I have 2 vehicles. I have a third vehicle that is discontinuing on September 5th. I could even add another vehicle if I wanted to. So I can manage my own multi-vehicle plans. I can cancel my plan. I can change the card on file. I can even view my gift cards, or I can buy and send gift cards. So if I need to buy a digital gift card, I can text that or email that to somebody. And again, you can do this on a web browser, or you can do this on a tablet web browser or your phone web browser. So here you can see that we can purchase our plan. This red box is that promotional text I talked about when we were setting up a plan. We can put whatever we want in there. I could buy that now. I could select the vehicle, and it's going to guide me as one of your customers through the process, just kind of like we talked earlier with a wizard. It's going to show me my total. I'm going to be able to select my card. In this case, I have a bunch of preloaded ones because it's a demo. They'd be able to just go down and hit new card and add the card. And one of the cool things with Patheon is we can actually save a card on file, a second card on file. And so that allows us that opportunity to go in and potentially charge if that first one is declined. That is not automatic, but it could be a manual process. Now, if you have LPR, you're good to go. You can go to the wash and wash. If you don't have LPR at your wash, they would be given a QR code, and they would present that QR code at the wash so that someone could apply an RFID sticker. I can go in, I can update my profile by adding, the email and other information. I could edit my vehicles. I could view my wallet. So in this case, I can see my cards. I can choose my default card. And then one of the last things I want to show you with this is, or to at least talk about, is the EWA pay-as-you-go. So if a customer doesn't want to commit to a plan, they can, rather than purchasing a wash, I kind of think of it like wash cap at a gas station. So at a gas station, I'd go up, I'd pump my gas, it'd ask me if I want to purchase my wash. I could purchase it, I'd get my receipt with my code, and then maybe if I pull around the wash, I'd see that there's 5 cars in line, I don't want to wait. So I've now paid for that, and I've put that in my armrest, and I've said, oh, I forgot about it. Well, with this, what we're doing is we're allowing customers to select their favorite wash, preferred wash, add their vehicle, and add their credit card. And so when they come into the wash, they've only done that once. They don't have to do this every time. When they get to the wash, they don't have to put their window down. They don't have to interact with a kiosk. They don't have to talk to a person. If you have LPR, it will read the plate, see that they're a pay-as-you-go customer. It'll charge them for their preferred wash, and it'll put them in the queue. So they'll get that plan member experience, but no commitment to that membership. And so we have some customers who are doing this today, and they're seeing a bridge where people are enjoying that experience, and they're jumping over and committing to a membership because they see that they're washing 3 or 4 times in a month. So really, really cool feature that we just released in January. So that was the last thing I wanted to show with my walkthrough here. And I know we only have 2 minutes. You guys did a good job asking some questions here. Aaron asked another question. I'll have to get an answer to that, but Aaron's question was, is there somewhere we can go to edit the retracts that are saved? I believe that retracts can only be removed from the tunnel loader screen when someone is in the queue or approaching the queue when you click on them, but I'll verify that. And that, along with the other questions that were asked, will be sent out with this. I don't know if there's any other questions. But other than that, that was what I wanted to show you. I appreciate you taking the time to join today. You can, of course, reach out to us with any questions. There should be some contact information that goes out with this as well. And like I said, in the next few days, we're going to send out a copy of this this video, as well as answers to those questions that were asked during this. If there aren't any other questions, I thank you for your time and hope you have a good day. Thank you.